This is a story of Kemi, a diligent university student in Lagos, Nigeria, who went to a well-respected clinic for a routine checkup. Focused on her studies and health, she's a careful person who prioritizes her future. The clinic has a stellar reputation, and Kemi feels comfortable and safe in the hands of the doctor on duty. She doesn't think much of the checkup, it's quick, and she lives with a sense of relief, knowing her health is in good hands. However, she has no idea that this seemingly harmless visit will turn her life upside down. A few weeks pass, and Kemi receives a call from the clinic, asking her to come in for a follow-up. Confused but unconcerned, she returns, expecting minor feedback on her checkup. Instead, she's given shocking news of her young life. Her tests have come back positive for pregnancy. Stunned, Kemi is speechless, and as she stumbles out of the clinic, her mind races. She knows she has never been with a man, so how is this possible? Kemi's family, particularly her conservative mother, reacts strongly when they hear the news. Kemi tries to explain her confusion, swearing her innocence, but her mother is suspicious and angry. Accusations fly as her mother questions her about her life choices and where she went wrong. The atmosphere at home becomes tense and hostile, with her mother refusing to believe that Kemi could be pregnant and yet remain a virgin. With no one on her side, Kemi feels alone and ashamed. Despite her certainty of innocence, doubt begins to creep in, and she wonders if there's some other explanation. Her family's disappointment weighs heavily on her, and Kemi realizes she'll need to seek answers herself if she wants to clear her name and restore her family's trust. She decides to investigate the clinic, determined to prove her innocence. Desperate and with no one else to turn to, Kemi reaches out to her close friend, Teo, a law student with a knack for investigation. Teo is shocked by Kemi's story but believes her, immediately sensing something strange about the situation. Teo encourages Kemi to think back on her clinic visit in detail. They start to speculate that something unusual must have happened during her checkup for her to test positive for pregnancy without ever having been intimate. Teo suggests they dig deeper into the clinic's practices and staff. She promises to help Kemi find the truth, and for the first time since the news broke, Kemi feels a small sense of hope. With Teo's support, she believes she might be able to uncover what truly happened at the clinic and prove her innocence. Kemi and Teo start investigating the clinic discreetly, observing the staff and the facility. They decide to visit the clinic's reception, pretending to ask about regular services. While doing so, they overhear whispers about the doctor who handled Kemi's case, a well-known fertility specialist with an impressive record. Teo grows suspicious, noting that Kemi's case may not be an isolated incident. Intrigued, they start looking up records of other patients, but their access is limited. However, Teo's legal skills prove useful, and she finds a few questionable incidents associated with the doctor's name in old medical reports. Kemi is both nervous and relieved. Her suspicions might be leading somewhere, and the hints of malpractice begin to surface. They realize they are dealing with something far more serious than they initially thought. Through Teo's contacts, they manage to arrange a meeting with a former nurse who once worked at the clinic. She is reluctant to talk at first, afraid of potential consequences. But after hearing Kemi's story, the nurse's demeanor changes, and she agrees to share information. She reveals that the doctor has been experimenting with patients for years, inserting sperm samples without their consent as part of a twisted fertility experiment. Horrified, Kemi listens as the nurse explains how the doctor believes he is helping women fulfill their maternal potential. This revelation is more than Kemi ever imagined. Shaken, Kemi and Teo realize that Kemi is one of many victims, all unknowingly subjected to the doctor's horrific scheme. Now, they are determined to bring this crime to light. Knowing they need proof, Kemi and Teo begin compiling evidence of the doctor's malpractice. They carefully document everything the former nurse told them, and Teo manages to access a few patient files. The files contain discrepancies, including unusual fertilization procedures that seem suspiciously linked to Kemi's doctor. Kemi feels overwhelmed by the horror of her situation but knows this is her only way forward. Teo encourages her, reminding her that by speaking up, she could help countless other women who might be suffering in silence. Together, they devise a plan to confront the clinic and collect more records without attracting suspicion. As they dig deeper, Kemi and Teo meet another victim, a young woman who has experienced the same shocking revelation. She, too, is pregnant without any explanation and has been through the same clinic. Hearing Kemi's story brings her to tears, and she shares her own experiences, which echo Kemi's ordeal. Together, the three women form a support system, sharing their pain and anger. This new ally provides Kemi with the strength she needs to move forward. With more victims speaking up, they realize they have enough collective power to expose the doctor's crimes publicly. They decide to take their fight to social media and the press to gain broader attention. With evidence in hand, Kemi and her new friends decide to post their stories anonymously on social media, tagging the clinic and sharing details of the doctor's malpractice. The posts quickly gain traction, attracting the attention of local journalists and activists who are eager to support them. As more victims come forward, the hashtag #JusticeForKemi trends across platforms, sparking outrage and demanding accountability. The story becomes a viral sensation, putting pressure on the clinic and forcing the doctor into the spotlight. For Kemi, going public feels like a huge step, but she knows it's the only way to hold the doctor accountable. Her story is out in the open, and there's no turning back now. Under growing public pressure, Kemi, Teo, and the other victims approach a legal aid organization that agrees to represent them in court. The organization gathers additional evidence and prepares to file a case against the clinic and the doctor. Kemi feels a surge of courage, knowing that justice is finally within reach. In the preliminary hearings, the doctor's defense tries to dismiss the claims as fabricated, but the evidence is undeniable. Medical records, testimonies, and social media evidence paint a clear picture of his guilt. As the case gains momentum, more and more women come forward, strengthening their legal stance. The trial begins, and Kemi faces the doctor in court. She testifies with a mixture of fear and determination, recounting her experience and the betrayal she felt. The doctor's defense argues that his actions were to help women, but Kemi's words resonate powerfully, and her courage inspires others to speak up. As more victims share their stories, the doctor's twisted motives are exposed, revealing the depth of his manipulation and cruelty. The courtroom is tense as the judge listens to each testimony, weighing the evidence presented. For Kemi, this moment feels surreal, yet she knows it's a step toward healing and reclaiming her life. After a lengthy trial, the court delivers its verdict. The doctor is found guilty of numerous charges, including malpractice, assault, and gross misconduct. He receives a lengthy prison sentence, and the clinic's reputation is shattered. News outlets cover the story extensively, framing it as a victory for women's rights in Nigeria and a wake-up call for regulatory reform in the medical industry. Kemi feels a wave of relief, knowing justice has been served. The trauma remains, but the victory empowers her to move forward with strength and resilience. For the first time, she sees hope beyond the pain and the possibility of a brighter future. In the aftermath, Kemi becomes an advocate for patient rights and women's empowerment, using her story to raise awareness. She speaks at events, works with non-governmental organizations, and encourages young women to always demand transparency in their medical care. Her bond with Theo and the other women grows, forming a lasting support network born from shared struggle. Kemi's life has forever changed, but her journey from victim to advocate becomes a powerful testimony to the strength of the human spirit. She has turned her darkest moments into a beacon of hope for others, showing that even the worst betrayals can be overcome with courage and solidarity. Thank you so much for watching and subscribing. See you in the next video.